My name's Guy Kestivan and I've been a professional bike tester for nearly 25 years, and today the bike I'm unboxing is Merida's brand new Big.Trail 600. And as you can see, it's a really striking looking contemporary 29er hardtail with a really interesting development story. So I'm going to get it in the work stand and we'll go through the details. So there she is in the stand, and you can see a really striking bike straight away, and a fantastic bit of spec to set the tone right from the start. Mazzocchi's Bomber Z2 fork. I mean, if you've not been in mountain biking long, you won't kind of know the significance of Mazzocchi. They were the Italian brand that basically kind of ignored the convention and fashion for ultra lightweight at the expense of performance in suspension forks, and came out with the Bomber Z1, which is this super plush, you know, controls everything. I mean, it was a free ride fork back in the day, but it just became kind of the benchmark trail fork for riders who like to go hard. But they've been recently built by Fox, and the whole range has been relaunched. There's a Z1, which is the big hit fork based on the 36, and then the Z2 is based on the 34 rhythm. So you've got the black stanchions, heavy duty stanchions, you've got a different crown, and you've got this signature M brace on there, and you've got this rail damper in there with just a basic low-speed compression damper on the top and then rebound down the bottom. But basically, this is the excellent Fox rhythm fork in an even smoother, kind of more user-friendly format. So that in 140mm on the front of a trail hardtail is a really good sign. And you've got 29er wheels with my current favourite kind of all-round summer trail tyre. It's the one I've been using on my Pace a ton. The new Maxxis Dissector in a 29x2.4 wide tyre format. And it's exo carcass and tubeless ready, and it's the dual compound spec. So you've got excellent tyres front and rear. They're mounted on Merida's own 29er rims with a 29mm internal diameter, and they're tubeless ready. These are set up with tubes just for transport, but you know, it'll be no trouble turning these tyres tubeless, gaining some survivability and dropping some weight in the process. Before I forget about weight, I have weighed the bike. It comes in at 13.7 kilos. So with a £1,500 price tag on this bike, that's at least a kilo lighter, if not a kilo and a half, than a full suspension bike of, you know, comparable price. And you're getting better spec than most full suspension bikes. Because what's driving this bike is Shimano's latest Dior 12-speed rear mech and 10-51 cassette. You can see that's a real, I've not really seen it up close before, but that's a really smart looking angular rear mech there with your adjustable, you know, on-off clutch there. Although on a hardtail you always want to kind of want that clutch on, because there's a bit of chainstay protection on these curving chainstays, but not a lot once that chain starts whipping around. Then you've got a race face crank, and you've even got this little cantilevered chain guide off there. There's no ISCG tabs, but you do get a little chain guide as standard. However, this frame is loaded with some really nice thought out features. As you can see, you've got a double bottle cage there and there, so you can put 2 cages in if you're bike packing, and it's also got this kind of latest must-have little toolkit or frame bag accessory up there. So in terms of trail, in terms of bike packing use, it's fully ready to go. But you're also getting sort of utility features, like there's a mudguard mount there. It's got hidden rack mounts as well. There's even a kickstand mount on the far side, as well as, you know, mudguard tabs down there. So there's all sorts of practical features on this, because the basic bike, the Big.Trail 200, is only 800 quid for the same frame. So that's going to appeal to a lot of people who are maybe dabbling in mountain bike, but most of their work is going to be, most of their riding is going to be like going to work or doing more practical stuff. So, you know, I've no problem that they've made this trail hardtail a perfectly good kind of workaholic, you know, daily driver as well. And you can see there's some nice detail in there. You've got this kind of stepped plate in behind the chainstay there. So you've got root tire clearance for up to a 2.5-inch tyre, but it still sneaks past that chainring there. And it's a steel chainring as well. So again, super durable spec choice there. And in terms of the rest of the spec, you've got Shimano Dior brakes with 180mm rotors, rear and at the front as well. I mean, obviously you've got a boost bolt through axle both ends. And then up top, you've got Merida's lock-on grips there. It's quite a nicely shaped, sort of almost ergon-style grip, with just a locking ring on the inside, so the outside's nice and smooth in the palm of your hands. Dior brakes there. You've got your 12-speed Dior shifter there. It's on a 780mm Merida bar, It's their Expert TR bar, 50mm stem. And if we swing around here, we've got this neat remote lever for Merida TR remote seat post in there. And medium, large and extra large frames get 150mm stroke, whereas the small frame gets 125mm stroke. And another neat little detail that Merida have thought of in terms of storage is this little multi-tilt just hiding this little sleeve in the back of the saddle there. So you're looking at a really well-spec'd competitive package for this price range. And I have to say, 1,500 quid trail hardtails is probably the category I get asked about most on YouTube at the moment. But with features like this, there's some things that really elevate it above the crowd. And you've got to remember that Merida are one of the largest frame manufacturers and bike producers in the whole world. They build frames for a whole load of other brands, as well as producing their own machines. So the level of metalworking and technology in this frame is really top class. You can see really nice semi-smooth welds all the way through. You've got this big crescent gusset there. You've got another gusset there. The seat collar is a nice, neat cutaway item with a replaceable bolt receiver in there. So, if you over tighten it, it's not completely ruined. You've got side keyholes rather than a rear keyhole, so there's no spray seeping in from the rear wheel. We've already gone through the mud clearance on the back end, so plenty of room there. Ignore this. This is a sort of pre-production bike, so it's still got a front mech routing on there. It won't have that in production. And also, there'll be a slightly better colour match between that decal and the fork. This is one of only 6 bikes out for test in the world for the launch of this bike. So I'm feeling pretty privileged that Merida have sent the box in my direction for me to talk about it on video. And I'm feeling genuinely excited to get out and ride this. I mean, you can see there's some really nice hydroforming gone into this frame. It's a really broad neck under there. It's a big kind of pepper pot head tube. And the way it tapers away like that. And so from a structural point of view, it looks like it's going to ride really well. And I've ridden the Z2 before, and I love that fork. I love kind of where they've pitched it as an aggressive but affordable fork. And it's a perfect front end for this bike. And one thing I haven't touched on is the geometry. And again, they've pretty much nailed it, because I kind of, right at the start, I was talking about the development story of this Merida bike. And although they're a European company, I mean, they're a Taiwanese company, but the kind of development has always been based in Germany, really. But then for this project, they deliberately consulted with a load of UK dealers. Kind of went to and went, right, what do you want to see in terms of shape, in terms of features, for an all-round trail hardtail? So you've got all that compatibility, the extra bottle cage mounts, the extra toolkit mount there, the dropper post, massive tyre clearance, and even, these practical daily driver touches. But the geometry's really well sorted as well. So you've got a 65.5 degree head tube, you've got a 75.5 degree seat tube. And although they still size it small through extra large, they've deliberately kept these seat tubes short. So on this large, that's a 430mm seat tube. So even though the reach is relatively short at 455mm, even the extra large only has a 450mm seat tube. So if you wanted a 475mm reach, you'd still get, plenty of room to get a dropper seat post in there. So yes, it seems short, it seems slightly short on paper, but in terms of when you go into the shop, being able to buy a bike that's longer, I can see a whole load of people going for the XL in this model just to get that little bit more reach. But I'm kind of prejudging it before I've ridden it there, which I shouldn't do. In terms of the rest of the geometry, you've got 435mm chainstay, and then a good healthy 73mm bottom bracket drop to create a nice centered, stable stance on the bike. And other detailed features, you've got the new SRAM universal derailleur hanger, so that's coming in on more and more bikes. First saw it on the Santa Cruz 5010, but Merida have used it here, even though it's a Shimano mech. That makes it far more likely you'll find a replaceable derailleur hanger easily if you take a hit on the back end there. So, that's the tech talk done. Thanks very much for watching. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Click for notifications. Tell your mates. Share the news about the channel. If you really like what I'm doing here, please consider joining my Patreon subscribers who pledge a small amount a month to support the growth of the channel. And as a thank you, they get exclusive behind-the-scenes, extended, early edits, and extra buying advice, extra tech advice, based on all my experience with bike testing and working in bike shops for many years. Thanks very much to Merida for sending in this test bike, one of only 6 they've released to global media. Really looking forward to riding it, which is, of course, what I'm going to do next. So, I've been Guy Kestevan on Guy Kes TV, talking about Merida's new Big Trail 600.